And good morning, One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. So glad you're all with us this morning. And I've got some music picked out for us. And I'm going to, and this one is just, I've been trying to just do sound and no video because I think it works out a little better for us. I don't know why, for some reason, my bandwidth isn't enough to really support the videos as well as I'd like. Anyway, this is what we have. So I'm going to share my sound. And, always thumbs up or telling me if you can't hear the sound, but you should be able to hear it. All right. So, did I share the screen? I didn't want to. Oops. Let me fix that. Thought I had just shared the sound. This is better. Technical difficulties. Here we go.
I got the power, you got the power, we got the power. I got the power, you got the power, we got the power. I got the power, you got the power, we got the power. I got the power, you got the power, we got the power. I've got the power to make all my dreams come true. I've got the power, there's nothing I can't do. I've got the power to be anything I want. I've got the power inside of me. I've got the power inside of me. Every day I'm wasting my time thinking that someone else is gonna do it all for me. I've got to get up, get out, get it, just get started. Take one step towards my destiny. I'll define my direction with clear-cut intention. Declare what will be and then watch it come to me. 'Cause I've got the power to make all my dreams come true. I've got the power, there's nothing I can't do. I've got the power to be anything I want. I've got the power inside of me. I've got the power inside of me. There are days when I feel that I'm just no good. Days when I don't even want to try. But when I stop, look and listen and surrender, I hear a voice of truth I cannot deny. And it says, you know you can do it. Just get down to it. Have faith in yourself and the will to see it through. 'Cause I've got the power to make all my dreams come true. I've got the power, there ain't nothing I can't do. I've got the power to be anything I want. I've got the power inside of me. Yeah, I've got the power inside of me. In those times when I feel so frightened and it seems like I just can't go on, I've got to look deep inside, 'cause that's where I find the power, the power, the power inside of me. Yeah, I've got the power deep inside of me. Yeah, I've got the power. I've got it. I've got the power inside. Deep inside of me. I've got it. I've got the power inside. Oh, there's nothing I can't do. 'Cause I got the power, yeah. I've got the power, you got the power, we got the power, yeah. I got the power, you got the power, we got the power. I got the power, you got the power, we got the power, yeah. I got the power, you got
All right, Karen. Karen knows. We all got the power. So we're talking about choosing possibility today, and really it's based on that fourth um, heading of how to use it in the beginning of the Science of Mind text. So I thought, yep, we know how to use it. We got the power. So that's why I kicked us off with that song. And so Lisa, you look
Yes.
good. You look beautiful, sweetheart.
Well, I bathed. Yes, no, I decided to get dressed today. I've been
Well,
wearing
you look beautiful.
I've been wearing my bathrobe mostly because it has pockets and I have to travel from one end of the house on my hose and I keep forgetting things, so I put them in the pocket. Oh, that's where we are.
Great.
Yeah. But honestly, I want to thank everybody. I have really felt surrounded by your love and prayers. I truly have. And I deeply appreciate it. And I know that it is healing me. I even this morning, I'm feeling much better. My ears were weird. My hearing was affected. And this morning I'm hearing again. So
Oh,
it's
wonderful.
so that's a wonderful thing. But at any rate, I feel very blessed. And so anyway, today is about choices. The fact that we can make choices. And it's like I have made a choice to be as independent as I can be for as long as I can be. And I found a doctor who agreed to support me in that. So I'm very happy about that. And I think that sometimes you kind of have to fight for yourself. But I wanted to share today from Minnesota. You know what's happening in Minnesota. And I found on my email the fact that they had a general strike, I believe it was yesterday, for everything. And th- this person is saying it could be a model for what the nation as a whole does in coming months to repudiate the dictatorship. And Anne Marie Cox, writing in Yesterday TNR, noted that Minnesota is a natural leader for this kind of thing. It is impossible to get through a Minnesota winter without help. And only sometimes does that assistance come from your neighbors. The stories about people shoveling out snow or blowing an entire block's driveway without being asked and with no compensation are true. But the real miracles, and just as common, are the times when strangers stop to help someone shovel out a car caught in a snowbank or bring out the kitty litter from their trunk, put there just for that kind of emergency. Cox goes on to say, people offer assistance without hesitation and without question. I don't think I even heard someone dismiss thanks with, just pay it back someday. Of course you will. Everyone knows it. Someone might find it remarkable that the generosity exists right alongside the stubborn interpersonal Midwestern micro distance that can take years to thaw. But the caution of their relationship speaks to the universality of the principle. You don't help people out because you like them, you just do. And I feel like that's where our choices lie as well in this time. And I think that our faith supports that. And so now let us pray. I am so grateful for our center and for our possibility to meet each week in order to reinforce the importance of our consciousness and the peace that it can bring us to be aware and on top of leading our own consciousness, making different choices from the rest of the world. And so I know that this service is blessed. I know that the words of Reverend Michelle will enrich us all. And I know that the service will bring peace and comfort to many. And I'm knowing also that our prayers continue for the several members of our congregation who are still ill and suffering. And Judy in the hospital, for example, and Relaine still healing. And so know that we are all embraced in that divine love that motivates us and saves us from the fear. And so I release my word with grateful thankings into the law. And we release together by saying, and so it is.
So it is. Mm.
So it is. Thank you, Lisa. Let's see. I think we do have an affirmation
Okay.
or if I can get it up here. There we go. Hang on.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I'm slow.
Oh,
Here we go. Now I'm there. I had to get it up on my desktop. I had forgotten. All right. Can you see it now, Lisa?
no. Oh, there it is. Today, I allow divine love to inform all my thoughts, feelings, and actions. Rooted in deep faith, I trust the wisdom of God moving through me, which naturally expresses as peace, kindness, abundance, wholeness, and joy in my life. And so it is.
Yes.
There it is.
Mm.
Yeah, that is all so true. Oh, and
Yeah.
I have another song here. Get it up for us. This is Gary Lynn Floyd, and I just love his music. I'm sure you will enjoy this as much as I enjoy him as well. So let me see. I'm maneuvering. Here we go.
That I may dwell in the house of love. May my heart swell with power from above, so I can tell I have not been forgotten. This is my sole desire. Further, deeper, higher. This is my sole desire. Come flood or fire. This is my sole desire. That I may be an instrument of grace. May all you see be mercy on my face. And one day we will be all together. This is my sole desire. Further, deeper, higher. This is my sole desire. Come flood or fire. This is my sole desire. This is my sole desire. This is my sole desire. Set my soul on fire. This is my sole desire. This is my sole desire. This is my sole desire. Set my soul on fire. This is my sole desire. Set my soul on fire. This is my sole desire. Further, deeper, higher. This is my sole desire.
Ah, my sole desire. My sole desire. Oh, look at all those beautiful faces. Oh, so good morning again. One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. You know, and as a community, we are a point of God's love and light in the world. You know, we're not swayed by circumstances or conditions in the world. You know, we stand on spiritual truth. And so whether you're listening to the replay of this service or whether you're here in real time, like all these beautiful faces I just spoke of, we welcome you and we see your light. And today, as Lissa was talking about, we're talking about the very practical idea of the science of mind teaching. You know, and it's choosing possibilities, which is really how to use it, how we use this practical philosophy, you know, because it takes us out of just the philosophy and it puts us squarely into the practice of the philosophy. Ernest Holmes, our founder, in the Science of Mind text, in the section called How to Use It, tells us that this teaching isn't just something we believe in. It's something we apply to our lives. Science of Mind is not only about what's true, it's about how truth becomes our experience. Yes, we teach oneness. We teach that we're all one with the source of life. Yes, we teach law, a universal creative intelligence that responds to us in a consistent and reliable way. And we also teach that these principles work in partnership as love and law. Love is the why, the desire, the impulse for spirit to express, and law is the how, the way love's impulse becomes form, it becomes our condition and experiences. Because when you think about it, if there was only love without law, then love would just be this beautiful inspiration. And law without love would be this kind of mechanical and cold process. But together they create what we care most about, the experience of God's love, of God's good in our daily human lives. And together, these two aspects of creation in our oneness with Source, they empower us to create real change in our real human lives. You know, and I know that probably for most of us, these basic principles of science of mind are just kind of a review. You know, these principles are something we probably all live our lives from. But what I've found about this philosophy is that the more I return to these basics, you know, the deeper my understanding and the deeper my embodiment of them happens. You know, the more I think about the radical idea, and it is really a radical idea, that there is only one life, one presence, and one intelligence. This is the heart of our teaching. The more I think about this radical idea, the more I feel it within me, the more it becomes who I am. And to know that I can never be separate from it. It's within me, and I am within it. We all are. And my desire for wholeness and peace and guidance and abundance, my heart's desire, as Gary Lloyd Flynn just sang about, they aren't outside of me. They are God seeking to express as me. And this is true for all of us. As Holmes said, to the degree that we embody our true nature. And the application, the practice of the science of mind philosophy is allowing what is already true of us, already within us, to move through us as expression into our experience, as our experience. We're never trying to get God to do something on our behalf. How to use it is to learn to cooperate with the way that universal principles already work. And I have personally found that when I am consistent with my spiritual practice, and we were talking about this in the meditation, when I stay grounded in these principles and I engage with whatever shows up in my life from the strength of my spiritual foundation, my intimate relationship with Source that grounds me in that deep faith and trust, then I can greet the challenges that pop up, because they do, with calm and a measured response rather than, oh my gosh, that emotional reaction. And I'm not perfect at that. Sometimes I do, oh my gosh. But I'm still learning, I'm still expanding, I'm still growing. However, knowing who I am in God tends to bring more good into my life and more peace of mind. So I ran across this story. I've shared before that I get these emails from Reverend Scott Aubrey, who I love. And he told this story about his own life, and that perfectly describes this idea. So he tells about a time when he was traveling for business. And after checking into his hotel, he decided to stay in for the evening and order room service and do a little bit of work that he had to do. And so while he waited for his dinner, he went online to do the work. But before he could finish, the internet went down, which irritated him a bit. So he turned on the TV and discovered that that wasn't working either. So he called down to the front desk to complain about it, but nobody answered. So now he was starting to get a little bit annoyed. Then room service brought up his food and the order was completely wrong. So by this time he was hungry, he was angry, and he was feeling completely disconnected. We probably all know who that feels. So he decided that all that was really left for him to do was to go down to the pool and have a swim. So while he was in the water, he began to relax. He took time to just kind of float in the water and feel himself being in the flow. And then he moved over to the jacuzzi, where he just sat in the warm water and he meditated and he prayed and he recentered himself. He started to feel reconnected to spirit. So by the time he got back to the room, life was good. And he realized that the little hiccups he'd experienced, not really life altering, that he could take it in and be present with what is. And when he was in that beautiful kind of centered space, he was connected to the goodness of life, and he recalled thinking, I should have swam first. I should have prayed first before attempting to go online or call room service or watch TV or any of the other things I wanted to do. And that's our teaching. Obviously, there are going to be moments when life's inconveniences annoy us. But we also understand that to the degree we're centered in spirit, when we're connected to the heart of life, feels like the heart of life, to our source, life just works better. Jesus told us to seek ye first the kingdom, and all things of life will be added. That's exactly, be centered first. And I know that, well, at least for me, I can only speak for myself, it's so tempting to think of ourselves as something that life is happening to, that the world is pushing up against us in some way. But when we're grounded and connected to Source, when we embody the truth that we live our lives within this Source, then we get to choose the possibilities that exist within the Source. We have creative agency. And you know what? That just changes the game. We can use the potential within us as our cause, our seed, and the law as the creative tool to bring it about, which is the fertile soil in which we plant our seed, to use the familiar metaphor that we use a lot in Science of Mind. Creative law is always in place. And if we strengthen our connection to God, live in its love, create that atmosphere of love, then love becomes who we are. And then we can really master our conditions. Because in Science of Mind, love isn't something that we have to be worthy of. And law isn't a power we have to convince. Love is who we are, and law is the power that we align with. And law responds to us, just like gravity responds to us when we step off the curb, or electricity flows when a circuit is connected, or seeds grow when they're planted in the receptive soil. Spiritual law responds to our feeling and to the mental atmosphere that we live in. Ernest Holmes said this often and very clearly. We use love and law through our embodiment with these spiritual truths. When we know so deeply, when we feel so deeply that we are one with this presence, we have that intimacy. And then we set our clear intention, and we strengthen that intention with our consistent trust. Trust always makes me think of Yvonne. And our faith in the law of good. We don't beg or hope, we align. The lights in the room don't come on by our pleading with the electricity. They come on because we flip the switch and start the flow. It's like that GPS metaphor. Love wants us to arrive, and law knows the route. All we have to do is put in our destination, which is our clear intention. We don't have to plead or bargain with the GPS to get us there. We just enter the address, and then we start driving. But if we ignore every turn that it tells us to take, we won't arrive, even though the system is working perfectly. Love is our desire to arrive, and law is the system that knows the route, and our participation is our willingness to take the correct turns when the GPS tells us to. And sometimes these turns aren't what we might expect. They're removing the debris from the road sometimes. The turns might look like a conversation we've been avoiding, or a boundary we need to set, or updating our resume, or forgiving an old grudge, or making a doctor's appointment, or asking for help. Because our demonstrations are not only spiritual. Well, that's not really true. Everything's spiritual, but they're practical. Love moves us to want change, and law moves us to take the steps that match that change. And it has been my experience that the way forward always shows up. Love wants us to live on that green growing edge, to quote Mary Madison. And law always finds the best route to get us there. It sets the stage for whatever action is necessary. And our part is to take that action. And there's another area of how to use it that I'd really like to speak to today, because we don't speak to this too often. I was thinking about this as I was putting together my talk, that in the Science of Mind, the idea that your good is my good. And I cannot tell you how true I believe that is. It is a fundamental idea that allows us to collectively change our world. It fosters a belief in our oneness. Your good is my good is what allows us to support each other in consciousness, in prayer. In Science of Mind, we say that your good is my good because there's only one life, expressing itself as all of us. Life is not separate beings competing for this limited supply. Good doesn't come from a personal reservoir that can be used up. Good comes from an infinite source that is always giving of itself. When good shows up anywhere, it's proof that it's available everywhere, because it's the same life, the same love, the same law in action. So another person's healing doesn't diminish our chances of healing. It strengthens my faith in what's possible. Another person's abundance doesn't take away from me. It demonstrates the nature of infinite supply. And in this way, we learn to celebrate another's good, knowing that each of us is just a point of expression within the very same life, that every expression of abundance, of wholeness, of love, of success is a shared experience and a reminder that what life is always willing to give to us. It's always willing. So standing on this idea of how to use it allows us, and that your good is my good, allows us to use our most comprehensive and effective spiritual practice to support each other, to contribute to the good of the whole. And of course, that's the practice of spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. We practice affirmative prayer for the good of another because we're all living together within one shared field of consciousness. And yes, we have different bodies and we have different personalities, but we live within the same source, the one life of God. And so we can know the spiritual truth of another's expression of God, within that shared field, within that source. And when we pray for another person, we're not trying to change them. We're not directing their choices, and we're not overriding their free will. We're simply affirming the truth of their being within the one life, because their good is our good and vice versa. And we're choosing to see them as whole and supported and guided and capable, even if they can't see it for themselves right now. It's a little like creating an emotional atmosphere. We all know that if some person walks in a room that's kind of agitated and they're like really calm and peaceful, that they can shift the energetic feeling in the room. And that's not control, that's influence through presence. And affirmative prayer works the same way. We're helping to create a clearer, more loving mental and spiritual atmosphere in which better choices of healing and right action can emerge, can take place. We're remembering the truth about someone when they're having a hard time remembering it for themselves. We create the atmosphere in which their truth can rise up. Recently, and I think a lot of you already know this, but recently my husband and I took a trip up to Northern California. One of the things I asked him before we left is, what would you like to see in Northern California? Since, we haven't been there in a long time and we're going, and, the things we have to do are probably only going to take a day. And he said that he'd like to see some redwood trees, because not many redwood trees in Southern California. And so we took a trip out towards Guerneville to go to Armstrong's Grove, which is this wonderful state park. I don't know if you've ever been there. When we lived in the area, we used to frequent it often. My kids grew up visiting those ancient redwood trees. So we went for this long walk through Armstrong's Grove, through the redwoods, and it was wonderful. My daughter and her family went. We had a great time. And we were just about to leave. We were just getting back towards the parking lot, and this retired park ranger came walking towards us. And she started telling us all these really interesting things, these facts about the Redwood Grove. And it was really quite synchronistic, because we had all been kind of asking questions that we didn't have the answers to, gee, I wonder. And anyway, so she started to answer these questions for her. And while I had her there, I said, what do you think is the most interesting thing about the redwood trees? And she said that redwoods have these relatively shallow roots, but that they spread out very wide. And the roots of the neighboring trees physically intertwine and even fuse together, which creates kind of a living web that helps the trees share their stability, because they're shallow rooted, and they share water and nutrients, and it helps them to survive during really severe storms as well. So instead of standing as these totally independent individuals, a redwood forest functions more like a community of trees holding each other up, supporting each other. She called it the wood, WOOD, wide web. And she said that the redwood trees do actually communicate with each other, obviously not in words, but with chemical and electrical signals that affect how the neighboring trees respond and grow. And it reminded me so much of how we live as individuals, and yet we're all connected to the larger life, one in which we can draw on for the resources that are available throughout the whole. It's a strength that comes from connection, not from isolation. It's so fascinating to me how nature often mirrors the nature of the divine and the nature of our invisible shared source. So when we do affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment for ourselves, we consciously align with our own awareness, with the truth of our being. We recognize our unity with spirit. We affirm the qualities that we want to impress in creative law, the new pattern of thought and feeling that will shape our experience, because we know it's an inside job, a shift in consciousness that naturally expresses itself as new choices, new actions, new outcomes. We're not trying to make something happen. We become in consciousness what we want to express in form or experience. And so when we offer affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment to someone else, we're affirming the truth of their spiritual nature within the same one life that we all share. We hold them in an atmosphere of wholeness, possibility, and support. We're lifting our own perception of them out of fear and limitation into the truth of that intelligent source that's moving through them. And so in this way, we're not directing outcomes. We're creating a clear context in which healing and insight and right action naturally emerges, always in harmony with the other person's freedom and their whatever their own unfolding path is. We offer our trust and our faith in spiritual principle to them, just like a redwood tree offers its support to another tree, or how a calm person and a centered person brings an uplifted energy into a room. It's all kind of the same stuff. I really enjoy revisiting basic principles. They're the basis of my life. And whenever I revisit them, I always get something I hadn't thought of before, or a deeper felt experience of my oneness with God, because I'm not the same person I was before when I originally was exposed to them. And I've always found science of mind to be profoundly empowering. Science of mind principles demonstrate that we're the place where the infinite decides to become personal, to become practical, and to become visible, to know itself more fully, to mirror itself back to itself. It's the place where love is always giving and law is always responding, and where we are always participating, whether we realize it or not. Science of mind to me feels like this very personal invitation, not just to believe in truth, but to live in alignment with truth, to think and to choose and to act as people who know that spirit is not only loving us, spirit is living as us. And that's how law becomes our lived experience. That's how love becomes our lived experience, through law, through us, and all of creation, the redwoods. And so today, In this moment, we are all of us together, living the life of God. We are living the life of God. We can't do anything else. So from this place, let's just take a breath and know together that God is, that we are, and that the goodness, the richness, the divine possibility in that quantum field or that mind of God or whatever we want to call it, we are free to choose simply by putting our attention and our focus on what it is we want to experience. What is Neville Goddard says, to live from the end, to assume the truth and live from the end. So for that, I just speak my word about everybody on this call and everybody in our community and everybody in the world, that there's a shift in consciousness that knows that love's the only truth and that law is making its way, making love's path clear, and that my good is your good and your good is my good and our good is everyone's good, and that we're so grateful for this truth. And that we just relax in knowing that it's true, and we rest in the conviction, the trust, and the faith to know that it's coming about, because love always wins. And together we say, and so it is.
So it is.
And so it is. How to use it. Rob, I believe that you're doing our sacred giving today. So let me get, of course, I didn't get the thing up here. Let me see. I don't think anybody needs ways to give. Unless, if you do, let me know. But we have a Venmo, and we also have a physical address that you can send a check to. So I'm going to let you take it from here, Rob.
Yeah, okay. I just want to thank everybody for being here. This is our opportunity to give, and we know that Michelle means the world to each and every one of us, and we know that our association with each other means a lot to us, because it's good to have the camaraderie and knowing that the is universally good. And so it's just wonderful to be here. And you can help me pay the bills. So thank you for your contributions. The sacred giving affirmation says, I give with a grateful heart, knowing that spirit is the source and substance of all supply. I joyfully participate in the circulation of abundance. My offering blesses the world and returns to me multiplied. I am grateful and I am prosperous. And so it is.
So it is. Thanks, Rob. So we'll have our Monday evening prayer group on tomorrow. And then Tuesday we'll finish the second half of that chapter on work in Marianne Williamson's A Return to Love. And then next Sunday we will be down at Ulm. Lissa, we can talk about whether or not you feel up to going. Betty, we can pick you up on our way if you would like. And yeah, so that should be fun. We're going to go down there. I know Rob's going to be the practitioner of the day. Woohoo! And yeah, it'll be a good time. And I think that's about all I have to say about that. Looks like Renetta popped off. She stayed for most of the service though, which was great. I guess her baby was quiet enough. So I'm going to ask you to do the benediction, Rob, and then I have a closing song for us.
All righty. Okay. So thank you for being here. Thank you for helping me know right here, right now, that this is all good, that we are doing well. We are living in the blessed heart of God, and it just feels good here. It feels good to come together. It feels good to listen to the truth that resonates within our souls. That truth is the goodness that we can turn to anytime we need it. And we are so blessed to have that more than familiarity, with that certainty that we have exactly what we need to get through whatever it is we are faced with. So I am saying thank you for this. Thank you for this service. Thank you for Michelle, whom we love, and thank you for each and every one of us to come together to make One Heart, One Mind a thing. And we are definitely a thing. Thank you, God. I release my word, and together we say.
And
And
so it
So it
is.
is. Thanks, Rob. So I'm going to play one of my all-time favorite songs to close, and it's so true.
Where I am, God is. Where I stand, God is standing strong. Where I breathe, God is breathing life in and out and through me. As me, where I sing, God is. Where I dance, joy lifts my feet. Where I live, beauty's flowing free, in and out and through me. As me, for where I doubt, God is the faith in me. Where I cry, God is the comfort there. Where I seek, God is the answer. Here and now, forever and ever and ever. Where I speak, truth is. Where I work, love is my career. And where I play, God is playing boldly, in and out and through me. As me. Oh, oh. Do do do. Where I am, where I stand, where I play, where I work and breathe and move and be, where I sing, where I dance, my dance, my dance, wherever I go. Where I pray and take and give and live, God is, God is, God is, God is.
God is. God is. All right, I'm going to say goodbye to our recording.